Changzhou does not have like a lot of historic spaces left, and as a result, though, I'm going to take a walk through a pocket of Changzhou history. This alley is Qing Guo Lane. It is downtown in the city center, and it's near Nandajie, which I did a previous video about, and I'll put a link in the descriptions to that. However, this is a little pocket of history in terms that the buildings here are very, very old. These have not been knocked down and rebuilt. These are just old buildings. And there is a significant part of Changzhou history that happened in this part, and it relates to this canal here, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So, while this place is historic, there are no historical attractions to see here. It's still a residential area, and people still live here to this day, and you can see that. The ancient history here is related to the Grand Canal. Now, this is the canal that connects Beijing with Hangzhou with an H. Now, if you look at the canal itself, it looks narrow, small, and tiny. What is so grand about it? Well, it's an offshoot of the main canal, and cities in China always have various offshoots going around the city because canals in China were basically a system of transportation, kind of like roads. And so in ancient times, if you lived next to a canal, you basically were a very wealthy person. And so wealthy families used to live here. Of course, it doesn't look that way now. But there's also something else to be considered. It's China. There's always something else to be considered. We only walk through half of Qing Guo Lane. There's the other half, and that is through this door right here. A lot of reconstruction is going on, and it's weird in that sometimes in China, to protect history, you have to knock down historical buildings. That sounds like an oxymoron, and it is, but sometimes historical buildings are so structurally deficient and crumbling that they cannot be saved, and so the government knocks stuff down and then rebuilds it to look almost exactly the same as what it originally was. So this second part of Qing Guo Lane is being developed as a historical and cultural attraction because, as I said earlier, a lot of famous and influential people lived here over the centuries. So basically, you might say Changzhou is trying to make something like Nandajie in Suzhou or other like historical districts in other Chinese cities like Hangzhou with an H as well. And that was Qing Guo Lane, and it is part of the real Changzhou.